Thank you. Nope, I'm not Terry. But I seem to be following her everywhere, huh? Good morning. I'm glad no one read this yet because I wanted to. And first I want to thank Doug, there he is, because I couldn't have, that was perfect. Thank you so much. And I want to thank Lily and her husband and Randy for the music. Thank you for sharing your love in all those ways to us, our commonness, our common good. This comes from the Science of Mind magazine. I'm sure you all read it already this morning. When you say yes to your good, this is just a part of it. When you say yes to your good, you're saying yes to yourself, your true self, that part of you that knows why you're here. Your yes aligns with you with not only your good, but the good of the universe, because everything is connected at the source. What is good for you is good for all involved. Isn't that awesome? Thank you so much. And if you may have read or heard tell that today's topic of my talk is self-love and self-care. It's not just about the self. We allow our good through love, just like what Doug read, beginning from our centers and radiating out into the common good of all. It starts right here with each of us, for each of us, in each of us, right here in our centers. From the very basic and mundane to our spiritual connection to God, our we is you and me, and we're in this wholeness together. Everything is connected and is part of the all that is. Every one, every what, every when, everywhere, every why, and every how. I would like to focus for a moment on every when, because I had an experience this morning as I was driving over here, and I got to thinking, now how did that musician who played that song decades ago, he probably didn't know, but he was channeling God's love through him. And today, I felt that love that he was channeling all over me, just like this morning when you played. So we don't know. It's every when. I think I said earlier, because this is my second service for today, that, it's like the time continuum in Star Trek, We don't know. We don't always know how one thing is going to affect the other, but we can know that there is an every when, and that every when is part of our source, or is our source. From this macrocosmic view and into our finely grayed microcosms, everything is connected and nothing is isolated. Today I'm going to mention a few things like the physical and the body, the mind and thoughts, emotions, the spiritual body and life, beyond the I to the we. And though I speak of each of these, I ask you to remember that each is a part of that continuum and not isolated into itself. Just keep that in mind. Each is a connected member of the common web, the quantum soup, the divine mind, each facet of the one, the source of all that is. The micro, that would be us in this case, affects the macro. Each aspect influences, affects, and impacts the others, including mental, emotional, physiological, and physical, or the body and the environment, and the spiritual. And also other aspects like our health, our family, our social lives, our financial, our work, our dharma, and our spiritual. Something in common there. As we all know, because you're spiritual people or you wouldn't be here today, thoughts in our minds affect our emotions, which affect our body, which, if you remember when you're not feeling well, can affect your thoughts, like, oh, why have I got this again? And your emotions, and I feel like, you know what? Again, affecting our body. So it seems like there's a cycle going on, but these thoughts, words, and actions that we have going in a little swirl, and they impact beyond us. They go beyond our skin. They impact the world around us. And, look at your partner, look at your puppy, look at the people next to you in traffic and see if that's not true. But we have the power over our thoughts, words, and actions. And we can change that. Now, I'd like to introduce 3 microcosms within us. I'm going to mention one on the side. But anyway, I have 3 that I'm going to talk about within us to illustrate the power centers that we have within us. The centers which we might incorporate our self-love and our self-care. There's the tree of life, and I'm going to show you, I don't have a bigger poster, but I'm sure you've seen these before. And if you want, you can see me after the service, and I'll show it to you, and we can talk about it a little bit or something. Anyway, this is known as the tree of life. Can anyone see this? Oh, I'm so good. Oh, excellent. All right. The tree of life has also been known as the tree of knowledge, or Sephirah. It comes from the Jewish Kabbalah and later the Christian Kabbalah. And each one of these circles represents a center, and each one has an aspect to it, sort of a flavor, if you want to say. And I'll explain. For example, my right hip, according to this system, has to do with honor and glory. So if I'm having a right hip problem, what's going on with my honor and glory, I might ask myself. Is there something I can do related to that? In the center, you probably recognize, especially you yogas who are sitting in this kind of position and breathing in a certain manner, the chakra system, also known as the Hindu Kundalini. And in this, the third I want to mention is, I want to say something real quick. The spleen and judgment. That's what you think of yourself in this system. My spleen is the judgment area. And what happens is this. Am I having a little twinge in my spleen? Am I judging myself or others harshly? What's going on there? You see where I'm going with this? So when something is happening in one of our centers or some of our centers, we can ask ourselves and do some studying and see, where do I want to focus my self-love, my self-care? Back to this. Charles Fillmore, who was the founder of the Unity movement, he has something he calls the 12 powers. And many people study the 12 powers of man, he called it. And then the 12 powers, you can see there are centers like in the others. And in the 12 powers, the root of the tongue in the throat, near the thyroid, is the power center. So if I have laryngitis or sore throat or something's going on with my throat, which actually was earlier in the year, what am I telling myself, or what do I need to know, or what aspect do I need to turn in my self-love and self-care to? With this in mind, was I afraid to express my power? Bonnie is grinning very widely, and that is a good example of how that works. Oh, good. Now, each of these systems, and there are others, when I said I was going to mention another one, I actually use quite a bit as well, and that is the Louise Hay's system, where she identifies parts of the body and gives you a possible emotional and thought cause, and provides an affirmation to help heal through that condition. There are probably many more, but these are the ones that I like because I find they complement each other, and I work with them on a regular basis. The point of this is that these centers provide us, well, not only are they keeping us going, think of them as swirling balls of light, shoulders, hips, spleen, liver, all up and along. And they're spinning, they're alive just like the energy that we live in. And the point of this is that we can use our self-care and our self-love through intention and meditation and breath and visualization. There was a fellow called Hermes Trismegistus. Anybody remember him? Except for folks who already been to my services. You can talk too. You're okay. He was the. Have you heard of hermetically sealed, or hermetic philosophies? It's him. And the closest I could find on him was that he lived in the early ADs, whatever, the first few hundred ADs. He was a prolific philosopher. And you may recognize this from him: as above, so below. That which is below corresponds to that which is above, and that which is above corresponds to that which is below, to accomplish the miracle of the one thing. So as a little recap of this centers, a little mystical business I've been introducing you to this morning, the continuum of the body and the precious centers within it are all aspects of us. They affect all aspects of us. Remember what we talked about earlier: mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. There is a continuum from us to the universe, and we may focus self-love and self-care to each of these centers and beyond. So I might heal this judgment that I'm having, maybe harsh self-judgment about, and I'm healing it, and I'm healing beyond that to my fellow persons and my fellow humans and other species. So what's the deal about this self-love thing anyway? Okay, why are we hearing so much about it? Does anybody want to know? I hope so, because that's what the whole talk's about. I just want to bring your attention to, remember, you've heard this term is called the Great Generation. Do you know what I'm talking about? Those are people who are generations that came before us, that lived through the Depression and World War II. And they're known as the Great Generation because they were selfless, and they did so many wonderful things, and including keeping our country safe. My father, when he was sick, said, and he was a son of the Great Generation, and he said, when he was dying, he told me, he wished that his family had been more enlightened, that they had treated themselves better physically, that they smoked less and ate better food and did different things. He just wished they'd been more enlightened, and that he wished he himself had been more enlightened earlier and more enlightened than he was. And it's a call for self-love. It's a call for self-love that heals not just us, but the generations that come after us and those that we meet in our lives. Now, back to why we're hearing so much about this right now, and I'll tell you why I think. I think it's because we have sacrificed, denied, rationalized, or sunk into what I call time poverty consciousness. You know what I'm talking about. I just don't have the time, or I'll do it later. Or we've just forgotten the basics. And we wind up tired, unmotivated, maybe sick a little bit, less able to and willing to participate in this amazing world and to contribute to our common good. As above, so below. And the impact of our thoughts, words, and actions, again, affect the body affects the mind, and so on. Tired, uninspired thoughts affect emotions, which affect the body. And guess what else is affected? Our spiritual lives. Our intuition, for example. So what I'm eating, if I'm sleeping enough, if I've had enough water, these are the basics, but they affect big important things like intuition, which is very important to me, and I know to the rest of you, because you're at the Center for Spiritual Living in the heart of Las Cruces today. Self-love determines our conduit capacity. That means how open are we? How open are we to love? How clean is our channel? How open are we to enable the flow of love? Good self-care is good spiritual hygiene. Ever think of it that way? Critical to ourselves as channelers, directors, and sharers of God's love. Remember self-care beyond the basics, though, okay? Beyond the food, the water, and the shelter. Aim high. We are worthy of more than just the basics. We are worthy. Self-love. I am worthy. Aim high. Our thriving is an expression of love and manifests in all levels of our beings, including the physical world. Thoughts affect emotions again, which affect the body. Tired, uninspired thoughts, as well as the enthusiastic and energized. So which ones do we want? Enthusiastic and energized. We want to choose our thoughts, words, and actions well. Self-care, self-love basics. Now, this is not just about pampering. This is not about a day at the spa or sitting for 6 hours in the tub, adding more hot water. It's, consider self-respect and self-awareness. Now, these are the bare bone basics, like putting on a seatbelt or bathing, flossing, little things like that. These are supposed to be no easy ones, no brainers, this basics, okay? So we want to drink enough water, we want to eat healthy food, we want to sleep well and enough, and we want to exercise. So I want to ask you if you identify with this. I have to confess that sleep, I'm one of those fighters of sleep. I sometimes find myself fighting to go to sleep because, I want to read. What am I, 9? No, let me finish this chapter. One more paragraph, please. And so it goes on and on and on until several chapters later, I'm still awake and I have to get up in the morning and do things. And I won't be as fresh, probably. So I know I need good sleep. So what's the deal? Why aren't we doing these things better? What can we do? We can do things like we can shift our focus, and we can shift our focus from making others' priorities more important than our own. We can put that oxygen mask on first so we don't pass out before we try to help people. And when we do this, we're not going to be surprised there might be a little backlash because people aren't used to this. All of a sudden, we're making our priorities first. So don't be surprised also if there's a normal guilt response. I say kick that guilt to the curb, but a nicer, more gentle way would be saying, let it go with grace, this guilt, to the curb. Now, we honor boundaries. We explain to our loved ones that we're doing this shift in focus, for example. These are the boundaries, and I'm doing the shift in focus, and now they know that when I don't jump up and do this thing, or they don't have to jump up and do this thing. You see how it works? And I might have to remind them about the idea of recharging batteries and putting on the oxygen mask first, but that's okay. Something else we can do is ask for what we need. These are self-care basics. Ask for what we need. Another one that might seem like it's a no-brainer, but some of us have a hard time doing it. Saying something when someone is standing on our toes. Huh? Well, it hurt, but you're like that inner grimace. You might wonder, what's that inner grimace about? And sometimes, many times, letting go of something is the best self-care act, self-act of love that we can do. Extreme self-care guru, Cheryl Richardson. How many people know Cheryl Richardson? Very good. Yeah, she's a Hay House author, and she's a motivational speaker, and she wrote a book about, which was titled Extreme Self-Care, actually. And she says that she suggests you pick one thing. Just pick one thing. So she says, well, I'm going to pick walking. Do that for a year, and then all the other things will fall into place, or often do. So she said that's what she did. And what happened? She lost weight, she got in shape, she cleared her mind, she strengthened her relationship with herself, and that was just from the one thing. Because everything's connected, right? Right? Okay, and then how about these not-so-basic basics? Has anyone heard of the book, How to Tame Your Gremlin? Or did you read the book, How to Tame Your Gremlin by Rick Carson? Maybe you don't have an inner gremlin. Maybe you have a hard-driving coach, a drill instructor, a vice principal, a professor, a mother superior, or a Borg queen. We may hound ourselves or hurry ourselves, compare, cajole, or any other manner of crimping our conduit of love. We don't want to crimp our conduit of love. To find ourselves not allowing our love to flow. Remember, inner talk and thoughts influence our emotions. So go easy, be kind, choose self-love. They, the researchers, the disembodied experts, say that we think about 70,000 thoughts a day. Of those, 98% of them are repeats. We actually think the same things over and over again. How boring, right? Shower, rinse, repeat. 80% of those are negative. What's up with that? But they don't have to be. We are changing our thoughts through self-love. Now, I have just a short description of a chocolate cake experiment. There were two groups. In the first group, the people ate the cake with guilt and negative thinking. This is cheating. And this group two said that they ate they ate their cake in celebration. Happy, love, goodness. Group one registered significantly higher in the stress hormone cortisol, gained weight, and weighed more long term. Now, who do we want to be like? We want to be like group two. Strive for the happy nervous system, the softer heart, the open and flexible arteries. There is no cheating. Let's just kick that to the curb right now. No cheating. There's choosing. How happy is that? Cheating, choosing. Okay. I offer you this affirmation with regard to eating the cake at the celebration. I choose to remember this celebration with deep love. I connect this moment, this cake, this day with love, with my community of love. Tying it all together with love. Our self-love directly corresponds to our openness, receptivity, and acceptance of the love of God, the source, the all that is. Self-love enables true, pure giving with the highest and best intention. Your presence here today tells me that you're consciously spiritual. We choose the highest and best in our lives and beings and centers of our beings. We choose what we feed ourselves. Clean water, clean air, clean food, cooked in clean, non-toxic ways and means. Good thoughts, good kind words, good input. I say, be choosy with radio, TV, internet, and movies. And output, good output, with our positive, via our positive thoughts, words, and actions. We surround ourselves with positive, upbeat people. We engage in activities and endeavors of the highest and best. We moisturize our hands before they crack. We are our best cheerleader, pep squad, and booster club. Stay there. We forgive ourselves and others, freeing ourselves and others. You know, and sometimes it's not possible or not safe to say, I'm sorry to someone in person. We just do it to their higher selves. I forgive you, and I ask that you forgive me. And we're free. We're free, they're free. It's free. Doesn't that feel better? We choose free. We do and are these things for ourselves with a capital S, for our world and our universe. We are each an individual, a part of, influencing, giving, and receiving from this living wholeness. We are the hand that gives and receives, yet we are the thumbprint. We are the snow, but we are the snowflake. It's hard to conceive that each and every snowflake could be unique and individual, because when you see the snow coming down, there's just so many of them. How could it possibly be? And yes, there are similarities. There are some that are kind of pokey, angular, and some are round, some are large and some are small, some are fluffy, some are scant. But each is individual. The world needs each of us, each of our unique, happy, healthy, loving selves. Self-love inspires compassion. What might our common world look like if we all cared for ourselves with love? And I'd like to leave you with an affirmation. I acknowledge the path to my every desire is self-love. I understand it is not the selfish, but the self-full that readies me. My self-care and intentions align my actions with my thoughts and words. My self-love is a loving path. I am open to the whispers of divine love. My thoughts, words, and actions reflect my enthusiasm and zeal, and I have more to share with this world. Thank you, God. And thank you.